I was never a smoker, but that doesn't preclude you from getting lung cancer.
And what do they attribute this to?
They really don't know.
Doctors say there are a growing number of young people like Aaron being diagnosed. While smoking remains the main cause of lung cancer, radon exposure and pollution also increase the risk. For Aaron, the spot on his lung was found incidentally during a cholesterol screening.
My story would be completely different if I got diagnosed a year later.
If lung cancer is caught early, it can be treated and sometimes cured.
Dr. Albert Rizzo with the Lung Association says the problem is there usually are not symptoms early, and screenings are only offered for smokers. If there aren't any symptoms, how do you find it early?
Really, there's no good screening for it. So it's a gap in our research and a gap in knowledge.
Aiming to close that gap, buildings are being illuminated in turquoise this week to raise awareness during Lung Cancer Action Week.
Lung cancer is still the #1 cause of cancer death for both men and women.
That's partly because millions who are eligible for screenings don't get them. But survival rates for lung cancer have increased 25% because of improved treatments.
I'm a lucky one because I caught it early.
Aaron had surgery and is back to running, now a Lung Force hero on the front lines fighting the leading cancer killer.
Hey, Club. Hey,
Philadelphia.
Chelsea. Is that Celeste? Celeste or Celeste, I think.
You can watch the team you know and trust on the CW Lexington at 10 o'clock every night for an hour of news. So stay with us right now. We have much more ahead right here.
That Sonny's Barbecue is live. Come celebrate National Barbecue Month. Wednesdays in May, get a $5.50 pork big deal or a $10 pork and rib combo. Sonny's Barbecue.
I said, yes, okay, yeah. Celeste.
Mark Metcalf, one tough conservative. He prosecuted illegals committing immigration fraud. He's cut waste from government and kept the woke agenda at bay. Mark Metcalf, veteran, prosecutor, Trump Republican, and Biden's worst nightmare. Metcalf for treasurer. Jonathan Shell, not conservative. Shell was director for a group promoting race-based hiring and suggested police not focus on drugs. Shell fights for Biden. The conservative is Richard Heath. He's a Trump Republican fighting wokeism. Richard Heath, agriculture commissioner.
UK is one of the top places to work in the country, but don't just take our word for it.
I love being able to see the students smile.
We get to create tomorrow, today. Seeing all the ways our alumni give back really makes this job fulfilling. Working with underrepresented communities helps me be the person that I needed.
From entry level to executive, we have great job openings all across campus.
You done working out? Yeah, I'm done working out. I'm done working out, yeah.
Thought of UK as a dream place to work. Lived up to the expectations. Get 5 every time with Kentucky 5, the new daily draw game where you match 5 numbers to win. Kentucky 5, your 5 numbers could be the one. This is a story about purpose, about building on our past accomplishments and investing in innovation. All of this is the reason why now is the time to join our team.
Since Joe Biden has been president, I've taken the court 23 times. And Bashir, taking the fight to him too, held Biden and Bashir accountable over illegal immigration, abortion, the war on coal, and of course, we stopped their vaccine mandates. When Biden and Bashir step over the line and violate the Constitution, I fight back and win. I'm Daniel Cameron. I figure if we fight the radical liberals now, maybe kids like Theodore will still have the real America when it's their turn. Guys, when it comes to curb appeal,
Your windows make it or break it.
that's why windows are the best kind of makeover.
They give your house a little pop.
A bit of pizzazz.
Don't you dazzle.
Make your house sound like new with easy replacement windows from the window source.
You can get a price right now at windowsourceofkentucky.com.
Check it out right now, guys. Windowsourceofkentucky.com. Beautiful windows.
That won't break the bank.
Dining room, picnic, tailgate, or conference room. Whichever table you gather around, we'll be sure there's plenty to go around. Bring them together with barbecue. Order Sonny's Catering.
After the deaths of more than 1 million Americans, tonight marks the end of the COVID-19 public health emergency. The changes you'll see moving forward.
Also on WKYT News at 5:30, a program to get drugs off the streets. The efforts to seize dangerous and deadly
WKYT News.
Good evening. We welcome you to WKYT News. The COVID-19 public health emergency in this country officially ends at midnight.
It is largely an administrative declaration, but the end of the pandemic does mean that some people could be losing their health care coverage. Nicole D'Antonio is on Capitol Hill with the details in our top story at 5:30.
I have today declared that the coronavirus presents a public health emergency in the United States.
When health officials declared the start of the public health emergency in January of 2020, no one could have imagined that it would last for more than 3 years and that the virus would claim the lives of more than 1 million Americans. But the COVID vaccine and new treatments mean the public health emergency will come to an end at midnight tonight.
Since January 20th, 2021, COVID-19 deaths have declined by 95%.
Some of the changes to our lives that came about as a result of the pandemic will go away now that the emergency is over. For example, the government will no longer buy a COVID test and give them out free to all Americans. However, vaccines will remain free for practically everyone, at least through 2024.
The biggest change is in Medicaid. People enrolled in the program couldn't be eliminated during the pandemic, but those guidelines are now ending, meaning as many as 24 million Americans may lose their coverage and would need to reapply.
Including kids, recently pregnant women, elderly, disabled, who don't realize that they need to reapply for Medicaid. So we have a lot of folks that are in danger of losing their insurance.
Health officials are also warning that just because the emergency is over, it doesn't mean that COVID is no longer a threat.
COVID-19 remains the 7th leading cause of death for Americans, continues to kill about 1,000 Americans a day.
Some changes, such as rules that allow doctors to write prescriptions via telehealth, are staying in place for now. Nicole D'Antonio, CBS News, Washington.
Well, according to the Herald Leader, Governor Beshear said back in February up to 280,000 Kentuckians could lose their health care coverage with the emergency ending.
Lexington hospitals have already seen the shift from COVID being seen as a pandemic to becoming more endemic as cases have declined. But doctors emphasize COVID is not gone. Public reporting goes away. The level of testing is continuing to lessen. It will be up to those in the healthcare field to monitor their hospitals closely.
I don't think that we're ever not going to wear masks in our clinics that take care of transplant patients or on our floors that are caring for immune-compromised patients, because I think we've recognized the importance of that.
Doctors that we talk to say more resources are available to them now to handle any future potential surge in cases.
They've certainly learned a lot over the last several years.
What a horrible thing when you look at it in the losses.
Well, let's switch gears now, talk a little bit of weather. Those clouds have been rolling in, and now we turn our attention to some scattered storms back in the bluegrass.
Rolling through, do they stick around for Mother's Day weekend? There's a question for Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
Quick answer, yes, they do. Unfortunately, now it's not going to be wall-to-wall stuff, but we are going to see those scattered thunderstorms. WKYT weather cam showing mostly cloudy skies. We had a passing shower at the station. Let's get you ready for your Friday, end of the week, rolling into the weekend. Out the door tomorrow morning, work and school, though the days of going into school this early are numbered, right? We're getting close to the end of the year. A couple of storms will begin to flare up as the day goes on. Afternoon commute, we got 80 degrees. Friday, 5 o'clock, threat is there for some scattered storms, especially into the afternoons. Not all day. It's not going to be wall-to-wall. Radar right now, isolated. That's the name of the game across central Kentucky. A little greater concentration of some rain down the Mountain Parkway. Thunder and lightning with that is beginning to subside, at least over the past 10, 15 minutes or so. London may dodge a light shower or sprinkle, nothing out of the ordinary. Farther to the west, rain, Cookeville, Tennessee, over toward Nashville, Tennessee. That is lifting its way to the north, heading into Bowling Green. That's likely to begin to weaken before it gets into central Kentucky a little later on this evening. So good news, but you can see the overcast sky where you've got the sun to the north and northeast of us. Temperatures 80 to 85 in a few cases this afternoon, and that humidity, oh, it is surging into the region. So we've got the humid air. It feels muggy heading into Mom's big weekend. Guys, we're going to try and time those thunderstorm rounds out when I get back here in under 10 minutes.
All right, Chris, thank you. Police are investigating a deadly overnight crash. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Madison County. The Madison County coroner says 27-year-old Brent Edward Crump died at the scene. The crash happened on Red House Road north of Richmond. The coroner says Crump's vehicle went off the road and hit a tree.
He says speed is likely a factor in that crash. No one else was involved. In Pulaski County, the circuit court clerk could face the possibility of being removed from his position. According to the Herald Leader, witnesses say Joseph J.S. Flynn yelled and cursed at employees, made sexual comments and jokes, and touched female employees in inappropriate ways. A hearing on Flynn's conduct was held yesterday. During that hearing, Flynn's attorneys questioned the motivation of witnesses. Flynn won his term in 2018, but was suspended with pay March of last year after complaints about his conduct. State police are searching for a missing woman in Floyd County. 40-year-old Tiffany Marie Tackett was last seen on April 29th in the Beaver community. She is 5'3" with brown hair and green eyes. Anyone with information is asked to call Kentucky State Police.
The state's largest school district is taking more steps to keep students safe. Jefferson County district leaders gave a first look at a new weapon detector system that is to be installed in schools. The Evolve system looks for threats like explosives or guns without students having to empty their pockets. The system displays video and a picture of any person who sets it off. It also highlights the threat that was detected.
If Apple comes out with a new iPhone, we want to learn to ignore it, right? And if God comes out with a new weapon, we want to learn to catch it. And so we have to keep updating the system and getting it smarter as time goes on.
Representatives say each system can screen about 2,000 people an hour. JCPS will install the detectors in the schools with the most weapons that have been recently found.
Governor Beshear is highlighting the effort of the Kentucky Counter Drug Program. The governor says that program seized 142 pounds of fentanyl. Officials estimate that amount could have caused the deaths of more than 28.9 million people. The program also seized hundreds of pounds of meth and cocaine. Governor Beshear says the team is working to take drugs off the street.
I know last year, KSP seized 18,600 grams of methamphetamine, and since 2018, their efforts have accounted for 1,612 drug seizures along the I-75 corridor alone. Statewide last year, KSP, local, and federal partners seized 11,700 grams of fentanyl. I'm really proud of those efforts.
Last year, overdose deaths in Kentucky declined 5% compared to 2021. It marked the first drop in overdose deaths since 2018.
A small but very encouraging trend, certainly. Well, ever find a baby possum? If so, you might need your help. It could need your help.
Yeah, unlike other wildlife, mama possums will accidentally leave their joeys behind. Our Jason Lindsay tells us what you need to do if you find one.
It's that time of the year when you might find one of these, a baby opossum. It might need help at a wildlife rehab. How do you know? All you have to do is measure from its nose to its rump. If it is less than 10 inches, it might need help.
When they're 13 or riding on their back, I don't think they even know if one falls off.
Jamie Rowe is the owner and founder of Grit and Grace.
Possums are North America's only marsupial. They carry their babies in their pouch.
And once it gets too crowded in the pouch, they'll make their way to mom's back until they get too heavy.
She knows that they're to the point where they take care of themselves, so sometimes she'll brush up against things and purposely knock them off.
But that doesn't mean she's a bad mom.
Possums are great moms, and they're really clean, and they're constantly grooming themselves and their babies.
Surprisingly, they're